Vertical centering can be a little bit tougher than horizontal centering because of the way content is calculated. Let's take a look at a couple simple examples of how to vertically center some content. With inline elements, we can use a vertical align property to make them align with each other. Let's add some inline elements and try vertically aligning them. I've created a paragraph element with two images and some inline text. Let's see what the default looks like. By default, it looks like it's aligning all the text and images to the bottom. So let's change that. In order for vertical align to work, we need to target the individual elements that will be receiving the vertically aligned content. I'll select my P tag, and then I'll use the star selector, which normally you don't want to use, but in this case for the demo, because I have some different content, I'll be using it. This will select all elements that exist within this content at any level. So be wary when using the star selector. I'll set the vertical align property to middle. And here we can see that inside of the container, because our 100 by 100 image is the largest, everything else aligns vertically centered to that content. This element is defining what the center is. If we increase the height of the paragraph, we should be able to adjust this amount. Let's look at a more complicated example where we have two divs nested inside of each other. In this case, I want the inner div to be vertically centered within the outer div. On my outer element, I'll add some styles, and on my inner element, I'll add some styles so that we can see the differentiation. Let's take a look at what this looks like by default. So here you can see by default we've got the two divs stacked on top of each other. So we're not seeing the container div. Let's add some height to that container. I'll adjust this to 300 so we can see it better. There we go. Now I want this div to be centered within this content. There's no easy way to do this. So what we're going to do is take advantage of how CSS exposes some table properties. Tables have this sort of centering functionality, so we're going to take advantage of that. First, we'll set our outer element to use display table. This will force the outer element to render as if it was a table. Then we'll set our inner element to display table cell and set its vertical align property to middle. By faking the positioning of both of these elements, the browser will read the outer element as a table and the inner element as a cell within that table. By setting the vertical align property to middle, this will allow us to vertically center block level elements within each other. Now by setting it to the table view, we actually need to set a width on our container. So let's do that now. In refreshing the content, we can see that our content has been scaled to fill the entire container. So this is how table cell actually works. By setting the vertical align property on a table cell, all the content inside will be vertically aligned. But by having it be table cell, the container is filled by the content. We can also set text align center if we want to horizontally center this as well. Now we have a horizontally and vertically centered element within a container.